Alright guys, we are doing the review over game 1 of the game we decided to end. That would be pretty cool. Pretty self-explanatory for the most part. One of the first few things I actually wanted to go over happens to be within the first like 30 seconds of the game. As we're walking out, we need to discuss like what we're going to do as a team. I think just about everybody on the team does the 5-point relatively correctly, though I think whenever we eventually get our ADC down here, they kind of troll just like a hair. I do think that what we should be getting Ashe to do is like immediately moving to this bush and sit in like this little corner right here. That way we're able to see if they're going to like walk at us as a group. It also helps like if we come down here, because we'll never know if like they decide to gank us, if they will just like all walk down as a team and then up and around, which will fuck us. And if she's just chilling, then like if Ashe is here, then she'll like see the cutoff here and then she can just walk up and be, you know, safe, which would allow the rest of the team to go, oh hey, I can ward raptors, or like these Tweedledee Tweedledum can come over here and ward their blue side. I think that would be really good. It's like nothing crazy to the point where if we look at their team, they don't have like a hook champion, and they don't have like what we did with like Morgana jungle. There's no like real scary like hard CC that's going to fuck us at level 1, so let's not be too worried about like standing in this bush. If they have things like that, then just, you know, step back, don't bother, sit in tri-bush and just smile. But yeah, that's all I wanted to go over for this like little early bit. The next part had to do with the state of affairs with the game itself. Going into it, I would say I like taking grasp as Ornn, but I think you can't really go demolish because we agreed that this was a bad lane for you, which I did pick you into a counter. However, I think you probably should just end up going like, what is it, Font of Life and probably Second Wind with D shield. I think you'd end up like sustaining like significantly easier, and you would just be able to like smile more. That's just my like perspective on it. I think you would be okay. But yeah. And then I guess while we're going through it, I think Zach is also allowed to just go ahead and take the precision tree with Conquer. If not, I think Aftershock is still fine, but I think you're just going to get a lot of splash damage. Like, if you're going Sunfire, then Aftershock is good. If you're not, and if you want to get the Proto build, that way you can have like more early game potential with your first item, then I think like you would need to go Conquer. But that's here and there. Outside of that, we needed to get to 130 or 120, something along those lines. Because we get to the point where we're sitting here before the game, and we just need to like actually be pretty aware like of where people are, right? So since they're not really doing anything, we're knowing that they're also doing some type of like 5-point defense, right? So like we know that Galio is here, we see Rell here, so their mid is probably here, and their AD is probably at their tri-bush, and then their top is like fucking off somewhere. So what we should be doing is like noticing, hey, like I'm not going to be really late to anything, low key. I think it's fine if you would just send like Ornn to kind of come over here and just drop a ward like right around here, just so we can see Diana like clear something. Holy shit, this is massive. That way we can get some type of jungle tracking information. That way we know if Diana started here or not, and we can play the game accordingly. Everyone can chip in, everyone can help. And then we need to discuss the bot lane matchup here in a minute, as we get to it. Mel also does a really good job defending like the squadron. They don't get a ward. But yeah, I will say that is good. And then this like level 1 we need to discuss. I think we have odd concepts for this. We have like Ashe W and we have Alistar W. So like all zombie needs to do is like walk up and hit with W after Scooby walks up and hits with auto, and then that way we can look to send the volley this way after Alistar hits the W, which will propel Jinx this way. So it should just be walk up, auto, slow, and then like the knockback into that volley, and then like we just win the trade. If Rell decides that she wants to just big dick it and then just like W onto the Alistar, then that means we would just be like right here as a unit to be able to just play on the Rell afterwards. We did discuss pregame that it would be ideal that we play for a decent level 1 because we should be stronger, and if Rell ever decides to W in, or if she just does a random ass Q start, then like Q start's probably her safest maneuver. If she does W, then she's probably just stuck or forced to flash, which ends up winning us the lane. So I do think we need to think about things a little more instead of just playing reactively, because if not, we're giving up like bush prio and it feels really bad. Like you want to like fish for these W's as Alistar, right? Because you want to play for like a decent level 1, and if we maintain some type of prio, then like they can't push us out, and like Zach is ending up to bot scuttle anyway, so we don't want to like make him homeless whenever he gets down here. But that's about it. And then I think like after you guys get level 2, it should be WQ for Alistar, and then it should end up being like WQ as well for the Ashe. That way you can keep up the ramping autos, because right about now I think would be a good time to talk about like playing parallel with your lane. So like the lane would be divided in half, and so Ashe would need to stand like up here, and then like your Alistar would need to stand down here, and he wants to play for the bushes, right? And you guys want to form kind of like a parallel line. That way you're not like fucking each other, and if not, for whatever reason, like that will change here and there, just depending on how like these guys are playing. Which currently it would just make sense that if Alistar is in the bush, then you would just go ahead and just get the jump at them, and then Scooby would also get a free hit. So I think we play the early levels too passively, very, very reactionary. I did also want to touch on Pink over here for his matchup. One of those things, I think you're probably just lacking game knowledge, and you're doing really well for your level 1, so I'm really proud of you compared to your bot lane. So you can tell what Galio takes like at his second level, because whenever he levels up and he steps up here and he gets this MR shield, that shows that he has W. So the moment he gets this little shield here, then you need to go ahead and then just like play right at where these casters are, because all he can do is Q farm, right? And so that means we as Mel should have just like Q E, right? That way we can go ahead and poke and keep him back. And then the next time we get a ward, which is going to take a minute, then we can walk up and ward these raptors, or we can come over like down. Oops, my fault. And then we can just move down, and then just come over here and drop a ward like right around this area. That way we can see a massive jungle entrance. Aside from that, we can move on down to the bot crab, which I don't know what happened for us. It's gonna take a second. We get into a scuffle down here, which ends up playing like out so stressfully. We end up burning flashes, which ends up being really good because in level 6, then we can play for it. We need to calm with a jungler that they don't have flashes, so we can set up ganks later on. We don't really get to do anything else. We missed the volley, so it feels bad. Okay, but now we need to discuss what's happening on the rest of the map, right? So since we already killed the Jinx and the Rell is currently chunked and we don't really know where Diana is yet, we can just assume that Diana wants to play for bot scuttle. It's the most like ideal situation for her because it will likely, it's super volatile, right? So that way she would be able to see how you guys are playing and you guys are currently low. And if she makes like a gank, then she'll get a decent kill. However, now that it's not paying out, all we need is Alistar to realize that Ashe just needs to stay here and farm. And she can keep Jinx here. That way whenever Jinx respawns and comes to the lane, then since like Ashe has a terrible buy currently with the amount of gold since it's super early in the game, you would just sit here, farm up a wave until like the play is done. Whenever Alistar decides, hey, I don't need to play for my Ashe anymore, I can walk up and then just drop a ward here, or I can walk over and drop a ward like right around here, right? That way we're able to see like which way the Diana comes from and we can play for the bot scuttle. Because if we happen to get this bot scuttle, then we can transition ourselves up to try to play for a double scuttle, and then we can reset our Zac into full clearing from his red side back down, which would allow us to play for level 6 Zac on the first dragon. However, we don't do a lot of that actually. We end up just like going back to our wave and just kind of like chilling and jerking off. Doesn't feel very good because then he just starts farming and then like it's already too late. Like we had perfect prio to get our support across the map and like play this, and then we just don't. And since like our Zac already used 2 smites to get here and he wasn't even here before like 3:30, he was here about 3:40, then like we're already just down like a person, right? And then it's going to get a little worse because now Ashe is low, and then she like already starts to channel her reset, but then she eventually cancels it. So instead of like hostaging Jinx in the lane by just standing at the wave, making sure she just doesn't get like W down or whatever, then that feels really bad. There is a slight misplay. Whenever we get right around here, we should be able to let Alistar come up and just get the fattest fucking WQ. So right around here, we should have like a triple knockup into a secondary knockup from like the Zac, right? Because I feel like we can definitely walk out with two kills, one on the Diana and then the other on the Galio, and that would get us like very, very far ahead. I actually forgot to mention it while I was watching, but Mel also makes a pretty terrible flash. We get jumped on for like half a second, and instead of like going actually behind the Rell towards our support, like into the Fog of War bush, then we go behind them, which is just going to be into Jinx if we have to walk this way. Ashe is in no situation to come up and like hit, so that's going to feel really bad. So we just die and lose a flash, which is a 5-minute cooldown. And then since we don't get a decent combo from the Alistar, then the kill on this Diana is going to take much longer than it really should. And then this just kind of fizzles out from there, which doesn't feel very good after everything that just happened. Which is fun. And then we also thankfully got a Raptor ward from the Mel before all this entire exchange, which was really nice of her. So right about now, after this play is happening and we know that there was a kill and we see the other 3, right? We need to assess the state of the game. Currently, K-Dash as a jungler should just be saying, hey, Raptors is down. We don't see them. We know how Diana is currently clearing. Now, since this isn't here yet, it should be, since his red side is spawning, that this shit is now starting to respawn. So after Diana resets, she's going to want to come up here and actually clear out her blue side down. So she'll clear a Gromp into Wolves, into Raptors, and then like maybe the Krugs, and then Dragon, right? So that's the play that would end up likely happening. But yes. And then I think we need to continue forward with some talk about like items, which I actually heavily disagreed with. Okay, so we had like, what was it, 900 gold, give or take? Yeah. So with like 900 gold, right, as an Alistar, typically, your first item in your elo specifically is going to be going Locket. And so since you're going Locket over like Redemption, like what pro players would end up doing, or just like relatively high elo, we don't want to go Kindle Gem because it's only going to give us like the 200 HP, right? We want to like get as much stats as like we physically can. So the stats that affect our lane into like Jinx Rell is going to end up being like the Ruby Crystal, which would be 300 or whatever, 400, with also the Cloth Armor, which would also be at like 300, right? And so we could still end up getting like both these items regardless if this is 400 or not. And then we would be able to get more stats that are effective in our lane, and we are like the beefy like Alistar tank that we're supposed to be for our team. We get the health, the like, what is it, 200 health from Kindle, but it just doesn't really do anything compared to like the buy that the Rell ends up getting anyway. Because if we look over here for a moment, like after she ends up getting her back off, she comes back with boots and double cloth armor. And so as like a point of reference, like we look at our Alistar and we can see that he has 51 armor, which reduces 34% AD, right? And we look at this Rell. And so we come over here and she has 66 armor. That reduces 40% AD damage, right? And so I think like understanding that, especially for Locket, the way you itemize is going to impact the early stages of the game significantly. And if we just had extra resistances, we'd be able to get to this lane like much, much easier. And then the second thing going off of that would be the fact that we happen to get double pinks for the bot lane. Currently, the way we need to set up our lane is we would tell our ADC to drop their pink in this bush after we catch the wave, and we just send the Alistar to drop his pink over here. Mostly just because like it establishes a vision line that is denying vision, so it's constantly there. Somebody on our team should be able to track if they invade us. We know there's no camps there yet, but our jungler is having to come this way, and making sure he just doesn't get invaded on by a Diana is going to make his day significantly better than it would be if Diana does decide to invade. So yes, please make sure we create vision lines, especially early like this, because like you're not going to miss out too terribly much whenever you decide to like walk off and go ward for a little bit, and then like afterwards, if you really want to, then you can go ahead and then just have like Scooby at a given point to just come over here after he pushes wave and then just drop a ward here. That way we can see if we get ganked from like this passageway, or if like they decide to roam up from bot lane to make some kind of odd play. Because the next play that's going to be happening within the next like 30 seconds to a minute, right, is going to have to be this dragon. So I do think we need to yap about that. Also, one thing I noticed throughout the entirety of the game is I'm going to have to put my boy Scooby on a bit of a flame session. He doesn't level E until like level 7, level 8, give or take. Which feels really bad. You need to go WQE, right? That way we get the poke, and then we get the like the Q for level 2. That way we could build up our lethal tempo stacks, and we get the E, so we have map packs. We can actually figure out where the fuck their jungler's at, and we get respawn timers. We get to actually finally track, and whenever we get both of those, then we are allowed to like play as a team and go, holy shit, we know where they're at. And you can go in for deep vision consistently throughout a game and have more consistent games, right? Unfortunately, we don't do that, and makes this game significantly harder than it really, really needs to be. But yes, going forward, the next thing I wanted to talk about happens about 6:10, which was a play that we decided to do over here. Right around here for bot lane, just don't let your boy get fucking hit, right? You don't want to see him get jumped and us just not hit them back. Just get them low, because Dragon's coming up. The more damage we get on them, the better, right? Because we just let our guy get chunked down to roughly about like half HP. So since he's half, and like we did fuck all to them, then honestly, like this is going to be significantly more difficult. There happens to be a play coming up that we could technically be avoiding right now, because if Scooby has Hawkshot, he could just send it over and slap it down right between Red and Krugs, and like with the massive AoE it does, we'll get to see both of these camps since she's pathing down, right? But we don't do that. We definitely do not. So Rell decides to go up, and we are deciding that we want to defend our pink ward, which should be calmed that, hey, she's walking up down river. Instead of like clicking back as a bot lane, we need to step forward and decide, hey, we're gonna like help our Zac catch this person out. Following which, we make some micro mistakes. We miss the knockup, and then as our Alistar decides to get in melee auto range, right, he doesn't combo. I feel like we should definitely be able to get the freest support kill in the world, because she already burned flash. We damn know well that's currently down. So it should just be like Zac knockup into WQ from the Alistar into like Ashe volley, and then just like autoing, and then like Ashe can actually move up, right? That way she's not getting hit from the Jinx, and then she can only play on the Diana immediately afterwards. And we should only be really playing like in this bush and like down this way, just a smidge to where she's currently at. We fucked this up dramatically, by the way, which does not pan out really well for us, because then so much bad things happen, which ends up feeling very, very terrible, right? Everything could have been avoided. If Scooby had E, if we actually didn't fuck up our micro and we just took the free kill, if we had the number advantage after the free kill, then we just wait a second, back up, make Diana homeless, and then we can just take the dragon, right? Shouldn't be difficult. We made it extremely difficult from the vast amount of choices we decided to take. Now, going into this next bit, we need to discuss if we're playing Void Grubs, right? We just got double killed. We really didn't get too much out of it. And are we playing for first dragon? If the answer is no, since we don't have Ashe ult yet, and like they're already down here, right? Because it would just take the two of these guys to move up, and like we have people respawning. Low key, it's going to be a little more difficult, and we will touch on lane swaps later on. But what I would do is I would just send the Ashe top lane and the Ornn bot, and then you can send Alistar bot as well to just hang out for a little bit. That way he doesn't like get completely fucked, because if you just happen to get Alistar onto the Jinx and then the Ornn as well onto the Jinx, it should just be like really, really easy to like chunk them and like kind of get her to reset. Or they would try to like emergency lane swap. That way Illaoi doesn't get fucked by the Ashe. Ashe gets solo XP, and then in like roughly about 30 seconds to 45 seconds before Void Grubs, we just send the Alistar top lane. That way we're able to have like 4 people on this half of the map with a teleport from the Ornn, and it should just be like free as fuck. Though I don't believe we're 100% ready for that. We have some of the champs available to us, like the Ornn. Ornn, Cassante, Sion, Shen, they all do really, really well with lane swaps. So it is something that we do have in our arsenal eventually. We will see how that goes on Friday. 720 is the next thing I really wanted to yap about. We check for dragon, and they happen to not be on the dragon, which is fine. And then after that, we want to come look down here, right? Dude, fuck off. How about that? Okay. Now, had we had E unlocked, we could just send it to dragon across and just smack it into red, get vision on red Krugs, and go, wow, they're down. We get respawn timers. That's cool, right? Okay. If we do this, it allows Zach to come up here and go from clearing his red side, instead just skipping over and just 3-camping the fuck out of this Diana, and then going, hey, I'm not ganking you, but I can have the opportunity to gank you after I take all 3 of these camps, since we know they're down here, right? If our jungler just takes these camps, then honestly it's going to feel really bad, and we're just slowly like bleeding out, and it's not good since we've already fucked up our micro and some of our leveling choices currently. So that definitely does not feel very good. Yeah, brother, a lot of this is going to be on the Ashe, sad to say. Now next, they take the dragon, and we see the Diana, we see the Rell moving up, so currently that lets us know as a team, hey, it is 12 seconds till these Void Grubs, we know where they're going, right? So ideally, you would just go, hey, I'm taking this Raptor, and then I am fucking off, and we're just diving this Jinx, right? I'm skipping past all my camps after this, going through here, and we're just diving. We have a Zac, we have an Alistar, and we can just kill her. We have enough CC, enough damage, and it should be free. Unfortunately, our support decides as Void Grubs spawn, it's a great idea to try to walk to Raptors immediately afterwards. And we're taking red into maybe attempting to like do some recovery play here, which doesn't feel very good because they've already taken one. Our support hasn't got here yet. We're still waiting. Our top lane is in a counter matchup and he's already getting chunked out. He can't move. He can't do anything. The most he could actually do is like walk to Tribush and like use R, right? And then like maybe he gets the knockup. But even then, like our jungler doesn't have smite. It feels very bad. We can't really play this. And like now Alistar just looks extremely homeless. So it looks like either that's miscommunications within the team, lack of map awareness, or just like maybe a sprinkle of tilt. We don't really know what's going on, but none of this looks organized. It looks a lot of like flex queue currently, which is why I was suggesting we need to work with the jungle and support being on the same page. That way they know how to like set the tempo of a game. And we are lacking that extremely right now. Moving on, we will go to about 10 minutes. Oh yeah, I remember what this is. Alright, our team's coming here. I know we discussed something about comms. K-Dash was trying to take some type of like, I don't know, responsibility for what happened here. But low-key, all it really needs is Alistar is going to be the first one to jump on somebody, because if we just have Alistar hit whoever crosses this line, and while they're CC'd, Ashe gets to just send her ult down to hit. And with this travel time, from here to here, that's going to be a longer stun, which would also allow the Zac to charge his E and land here. And with so much CC built up here, now that they have flash and flashback, right, they would have to either flash back or flash forward into their tower. That way, they're able to not die, but they're also chunked the fuck out. So that means the next time we decide to play for the upcoming second dragon of the game, we would just get it for free. Because their carries and their like partial engage won't have flash. And we just fucked them. Unfortunately, none of that happened. So it's going to be very, very sad. Because instead we shoot the E, Ashe trolls by tanking a tower shot, fuck off. And then eventually we see this, nothing, and we get the CC, there's no Ashe ulti, and then like we happen to get the flashes out, we tank tower for some odd reason, and then it's just going, and like none of this looks good. We get the volley, and then like we're just kind of stuck fighting here. In all of this madness, I imagine in my head Mel has already called that, hey, Galio's roaming, and yes, he's going to get there no matter what because he has R, but there's no world Mel's walking to match this and not just teleporting onto this like ward in a tri-bush, right? Because you would just teleport here, and then Ashe can stop the Galio by just pressing the R we decided to hold, right? That way none of this bad shit decides to happen. But unfortunately, we continue with misplays within these plays. And it ends up feeling very, very bad. So this entire thing, I feel like, could have been handled way better than how we decided to handle it. Very slippery slope. We are losing quite a bit considering we fucked our top lane in champ select and we need to play for a winning bot, and we just are not doing it. And then we need to get to 11:30, which happens to be up here. Hold on. Oh, right. Now as like we did the entire previous skirmish over here, and they did some flashes over the wall, us knowing we have flashes on our carries, right? Our Mel and our Ashe, it makes this entire second dragon super playable. Already covered it, but it should be fine, right? Because as long as we know that, like, their Jinx and this guy and this person also used all their flashes, right? We'd be able to know that they can't make any flashy plays to get onto us, and then we can just kind of play accordingly. We have tons of CC, and we just got to get their squishies into, like, execute range from the Mel. And I think that would be really good for us. Though I don't think we calmed that, which I would be curious on if we did. Continuing forward, again, it's just gonna have to be like Ashe E stuff. Mostly this entire little skirmish could just be avoided. We walk up, we know there's 25 seconds on the dragon, and like we look and we finally have E at level 8, level 8, level 7, whatever it was. And so we should just be sending it forward so we know where they're at. Bot Skittle is currently available, so they're probably on it. Let's just not make a play on the Jinx until we know exactly where people are. We've got wards on the Alistar, so low-key, we should just be sending him to like ward here, and if there's people here or over here, then we know that we cannot do this play, right? So then we would just like see that the wave is just pushing into us. So then Ashe, all she would get to do is just last hit right along here. And we don't have to do anything crazy because they would have to play into us. Because if we just happen to drop a control ward over here into our tri-bush, eventually we'll get Zac to just stand right here, and whenever the wave is currently pushing up, whenever Jinx gets to right about where Ashe is standing, then we can just send the Zac E over the wall and the Ashe ult at them, and we just get the free pick if she plays for tower. We've got our options. We don't have to be super crazy about it. We decide to end. We go, huzzah! Ah, yes. That is good. That is good. And then after that, the last thing I really wanted to go over, which was unfortunately just Mel inting. A sequence happens top, which really shouldn't happen. Then we force a gank onto the top lane, and then we just go, hey, what's up? And knowing that they have like a Galio ult, we just go for this, and we just get fucked. And none of this is good for anybody, aside for the other team. At this point, I do think the game is somewhat winnable, but you would just have to like make a really good pick off of either Jinx or Diana. Unfortunately, we have shown the capability of doing neither this game. So I think it is kind of just GG's from here. We probably should have just picked up the Yorick and just allowed this guy to be a menace. Putting too much importance maybe into like one role is a little bad. We will revise it and proceed accordingly.